All right, and we're rolling. Hi everyone, my name is Jack, this is Bobby, and we are with the Pink Think.
This is the Pink Think channel, and this is our first episode ever on our channel, and it's walk and talk. So me and Jackie love to play Pokemon Go. Right now she's actually sacrificing her catching to record on her phone.
Yep.
But me and her love to talk and walk. We're gonna make a full-fledged episode where we do research, but this is a completely free script,
Informal.
walk and talk,
Yep.
informal thing. So what's on your mind today, Jackie?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. Now, we were planning to make this channel about kind of political, theological themes. Do we want to touch on anything big, or do we want to just let our viewers know some more about ourselves?
Well, yeah. So here's a concept that's kind of been bugging me. Is each day of your life, you're getting closer to death. Now
Yep.
that's a troubling thought, but it's almost relaxing in a way, because sometimes days are very rough, and then also just it feels like a reward that you don't have to deal with any of that anymore once you die. Now, what's your opinion on that?
I would agree. You know, I've always been one of the people who kind of looks at death with a bit of trepidation, a bit of anxiety as I think about that slow, tireless march towards the grave. But I agree that there is some comfort to be found for some people in thinking that this too will pass, no matter how bad your day gets. One day it's not going to matter anymore.
You bet.
There's some thought to be had there.
And now, and also just the chance. What is the chance that you would be born? What is the chance that you would be born in the situation you're born in? Like, what is the chance that I was born and raised here, you know?
Yeah.
That's just something that's troubling me. Now, would you really think that's as important to think about? Probably even not.
No.
You know? Because it already happened. You don't have to think about the chance. Like, what's the chance this universe would have even existed in the first place?
Who knows? But it exists now, so we don't really need to worry about it.
Asking the question.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in case you didn't know, my channel is fully 3 kids.
Yep.
Do you have a YouTube channel that you regularly post on? Okay, then.
Nope.
But my channel is fully 3 kids. I post a lot of gaming stuff and music stuff. But yeah, so feel free to check that out. Just a quick little shout out. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe and like for more content like this.
Yep.
Now back to the video. So, anything on your mind, Jackie?
Anything on my mind? Well, now you've got me thinking about death, but I don't know if we want to hang around that subject.
Sure, we can.
Yeah.
So, what is kind of interesting to me is your death predetermined? But the second you're born, is the way you're going to die already determined? Or is it something that can change along the way? Now, what would your opinion on that be?
Now that's interesting, because you're getting into by saying that, you're touching sort of on the concept like, is everything predetermined? Because of course every action that we make is going to shape the course of our life and like influence things. And I would say, I don't think things are predetermined in life, because I think you can always change things no matter what. I could run out into the street right now and get hit by a car, and
you can make that decision.
I can make that decision.
But then the question becomes, did you make that decision, or was it bound to happen?
Exactly. And
that's touching on free will.
Exactly. I was just about to say, do we really have free will, or is it all just an illusion?
And then when we get into free will, we get into God a lot of the times. So,
because if everything is determined, everything has to be determined by something or someone.
Yes, and then I guess we wouldn't. But then people always make the argument that God gives you free will. And that just makes it even more confusing, because wouldn't this God control the universe?
So is that saying that he simply chooses not to control all of our actions?
Yeah, and he easily could. But that's what gets confusing for me. And speaking of God, this is like a godlike game, Pokemon Go. We're not sponsored by it, but
we love it all the same. Yeah.
This is what brings us closer together, and I'm sure you guys can relate. So, now if there is a God, let's humor that idea for a minute. Would there be free will, would you think? Or what would you think the situation of that would be?
I think that's an interesting question. But I think most religions tend to believe in free will to some extent. It's mostly sects, S-E-C-T-S,
Yeah.
that believe in the
Second
concept.
there, I was like, what are you talking
No,
about?
hey, that's not this kind of channel.
Yeah.
That believe in predeterminism. But I would say that if there is a God, I still believe that my will is my own.
Yeah,
And that we
true.
are able to question him, her, them, and all that, and to make our own choices in life.
Yeah. Now, how about we touch, we're just going to go for about 10 minutes here. What are we at right now?
5.
Okay, then yeah, that's perfect. We'll just go for 10 minutes here. Now, let's talk a little bit about politics.
Ooh, getting into a little more of the meat of this channel.
Yeah, so I'm 18.
You are?
I just turned 18, and I'm going to be able to vote. And a lot of people are pessimistic. This is something I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Pessimistic on voting in America. Some people are non-voters because they feel like their vote doesn't even count.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the electoral college. And this might be the only subject we touch on today because it's a deep subject. It's got a lot of meat.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
But I think you've raised a great point when you say that voter apathy is at an all-time high in America, especially among the youth. People out there just don't believe that their vote matters or that they can make a difference when they vote.
And I feel like that's the electoral college is mainly to blame for that. What do you say?
I would agree, because I think people look at these things like, for example, Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote in 2016, and they say, my vote doesn't count, where I live counts.
Maybe they voted for Hillary Clinton, but because the like states that are down south, some of those states, even though they have less people, they have more
power.
Electoral college votes, and a lot of those are Republican-leaning states.
So there's this kind of inherent bias to this system that makes people, especially young liberals and people like that, sorry, we're crossing the street,
Yeah.
think that they can't do anything about it. And I think that's really sad.
Yeah, but then we get into the question of, should we abolish the electoral college? I'm just going to go out and say my opinion, and it is yes.
I would agree with you there.
I would say one vote should be one vote. Is that a little bit more of a harder way of doing it? Probably. Maybe, but maybe even not, because then
We're
you're gonna have to
already
deal with
counting the popular
it.
vote.
We're already counting the popular vote. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote last election. Trump didn't, but he won the electoral college.
Yeah.
And there's also other examples. I can't think of one off the top of my head,
Of how to do voting?
but there's other examples
Oh, of the popular vote
of
being
the
won,
popular
yeah.
vote being won by a certain president.
And
But the other
usually
president
it's
gets
won by the Democrat and the Republican gets it.
Yes.
If I'm
Because that's
thinking
just how
correctly.
that's just how the electoral college is rigged, folks.
Of course.
But there's also ranked choice voting. This is something that is a little bit of a niche idea. It's a little bit out there. It's not really in the mainstream.
Not in America, at least. And some other countries do it. Australia, I believe, does
Oh, really?
ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's another idea that is basically you'd vote. So like, I'm just gonna give my example. I would vote for president if you could. I'm not sure, because I guess they'd have multiple people for the parties, right?
Probably.
each party.
Well, the thing is, this is used in countries where there are other parties, not just
Yes.
a two-party system.
Just not-
But we can use this for an example in the primaries.
Yes.
So let's talk about the primaries
So,
in America.
for example, I would vote Bernie Sanders number 1, Elizabeth Warren number 2, Andrew Yang number 3. So I would be voting kind of ranked, and I'm not sure how they would really
How it works?
how it works.
Oh,
That's
let
the
me
confusing
explain it
part.
to you. Using an example from a country that doesn't have a two-party system. So let's pretend that we're in a made-up country called Libertaria.
Yeah.
And there are 4 parties. Now let's pretend 2 of these parties are mainstream and 2 of them are kind of like independent parties in America. So let's say your real true choice, the person you really want to vote for in president, is from an independent party. Now in America, an independent person isn't going to win the presidency. That's just the facts. It's not how our system is set up. So lots of people feel like if they're voting for an independent, they're throwing their vote away. The way to not make that be so is in ranked voting, you can put that person as your number 1 choice. And then you can select a person from a mainstream party who aligns more closely with your goals, with your views, as your second choice. And then you can do 3 and 4 to show your least favorite votes. But the way it works, they count the votes. But if your first choice isn't going to like be proceeding to the next thing, or if they're not going to be winning, they take your vote and they count it for your second choice. So that means that you're still voting for who you want to vote for, but if your candidate isn't going to win, they're going to
apply your next runner-up
to the person who you align most closely with. It's not just going to waste.
So that's what I didn't know. I didn't actually know that. Now, what are we sitting at here?
10:30.
So, I personally think abolish the Electoral College, go to popular vote and ranked choice voting. That's just my opinion. I feel like it's more democratic. It really fits our character more.
Yes.
I think we would have been a hell of a lot better off
if we
would have used this earlier on. Because first of all, I just can't stand Donald Trump.
Neither of us can.
You can disagree with me on that. But I think that he didn't deserve to win because he didn't get most of the votes. So most of the country isn't going to be happy with that.
Yep.
And that's never a good thing when the country is pissed off.
Never a good thing when the country's divided.
So I think the best choice would be to abolish the Electoral College and set up a ranked choice voting system. This has been Robert Foley.
Jack Foley.
With the Pink Think. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.